This, when I tell the story, I like to tell people, this is older than the majority of you out there, 57, 58 years old. Got it in a little tailor shop outside of one of the base camps in Vietnam. People say, when are you going to just frame it and hang it up? I said, hey, no. The reason I maintained this flag is that we had promised the family of my lieutenant and some of the other guys who were still missing at that time. When Fred was recovered, all of us who were still able to would come to his service and we would present this flag to their family. It was about the bond that you establish between buddies who did not survive the war. But over the course of the next 30-some years, this flag took on a whole new different meaning. It's become a huge part of the story of support for our soldiers in combat. The month that I got drafted was kind of like the first month draft call-up numbers just kind of quadruple. It was something that the kids from my generation just accepted as going to be part of your life. Expected, and it would be some adventure. The war in Vietnam was beginning to ramp up. I was in Fort Sam Houston, trained as a combat medic. When I graduated, the bulk of my class got assignment to units in Vietnam. My assignment was San Francisco, Presidio. In the Army, they have a form called a 1049. It's a request for transfer. One day I went into the company first sergeant's office and I said, hey, Top, I submitted a 1049 for transfer to Vietnam. And he said, hey, come here, sit down. He said, are you crazy? Guys are getting killed over there, and especially combat medics. And I said, I understand that, but I really need to go and prove to myself how I could have handled combat. He shook his head. He said, you kids from Hawaii, you're crazy. And within 10 days, I was on a plane to go to Vietnam. When the plane stops and you get on the ramp and walk down the steps, it's just very oppressive. Lots of humidity and it's hot. It just overwhelms you. Just whoop. The smells, the sights, the sounds are unforgettable. So my first assignment was with the Long Range Reconnaissance Platoon. I was the only medic, so I became the senior medic. So I was responsible for health and welfare of 24 guys. When you're out in the field, you don't worry about saving the country, saving democracy. You're there to save the guy on your left and the guy on your right. And if you do that well, then the country will be fine. Never hesitated being either the first or second guy firing my weapon. You hear the shrapnel, you hear the bullets, people yelling for Doc, Doc, Doc. Absolutely terrifying, because we were kids. And then overnight we turned into men. My bond with my battle brothers is more intense, more deep than it is with my siblings. And that's just the way it is. We didn't spend more than maybe 4 or 5 months together, but just that time you spent together, what you experienced, you never ever forget. It's because we've experienced something so horrendous, there's never any doubt in terms of our bond. If I'm with them, I never have to worry about my back. But then there was May 12th. I got orders to go on R&R. 7 days leave, so I get back to Vietnam. I'm getting information to get on a helicopter to join my team that was up north by Hue on a special assignment. And then early in the morning, we get the word that this Green Beret camp that my battalion had gone to reinforce had been overrun. And they don't know what happened to my guys. And they said, the last we heard from your lieutenant was that they had been surrounded and they were being overrun and they were shooting the enemy as they came through the wire. And I said, well, I gotta get out there somehow. And then by the time I got down to the chopper pad, they'd cancel all the inbound flights because everybody was coming out. And over the course of the next 24 hours, we got bits and pieces of what had happened. I lost 18 guys, and 8 were missing. Crazy. to think about how I could have laid in the dirt for 37 years. Because in a platoon, there's a lieutenant, there's a radio operator, and there's the medic. And they're a team. They're always together. Always together. We all made each other this promise. If anything ever happened to us, we would make the effort to go and visit the families. That weighed heavy on me. And so one of the things that I did when I got out of the Army, got home, was track down the family of my radio operator. His father, who was an incredible soldier himself, World War II, Battle of the Bulge, Normandy, Market Garden. His son, Skip, the radio operator, it was all he would talk about. Him wanting to make his dad proud, because his dad was such a war hero.
The Air Force staff car was out front. The officer came in and they explained that he'd been listed as missing in action.
His father and I, over the next 30 plus years, became very close. I cannot even begin to understand, as a soldier, what Bill has gone through, not knowing for all these years. That would kill me. You know, every day, lots of promises are made. But for me, I was raised when you make a commitment that you need to fulfill that commitment. A commitment to at least bring them a little bit of information, knowledge, and perhaps comfort. The unit whose task it is to search for missing soldiers and recover missing soldiers. In 2006, the unit called me, said, "Hey Doc, we've acquired new evidence that we're willing to go do one more search." The following year, we saw the photographs as they were doing the excavation. They removed the soil inch by inch by inch. The remains came out of the ground. And they were able to identify the radio operator and the lieutenant. And they were like next to each other. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. You somehow become numbed by all the horrors that you witness, and you don't get the full extent of what that means until you get home, and then you meet family members of guys who did not come home.
It's a relief. I hope I make it to the end when they take them to Arlington.
And that kind of jerks you back to reality, that what you survive, there are people who do not survive that, and especially families who lost loved ones for the rest of their lives. They relive that moment when they were informed that, my son, my husband, etc., is not coming home. And that was perhaps one of the hardest lessons for me to accept when my son was killed in Iraq.